Hi everyone, today I will be unboxing and reviewing the Brustro Artist Miniature Brush Set. This particular one I got it from Creative Hands. I will put up a link in description. You can check the website. I bought it from them directly. It cost me about 1299 in INR. So part of this is this brush holder, and there are about 12 brushes inside. There are three types. One is the rigger brush, round brush and flat brush. So rigger brush is nothing but your fine liner brushes. So I'm going to show you guys what is there inside. Also along with this I got some of these papers. These are probably new swatches by Brustro maybe. So this is the paper that I've received with it, but I'm going to use the other Brustro papers to show you guys how these things work. So let's unbox it. There are 12 brushes. The sizes are very interesting. You get everything from 1, 0, and then it goes 2 by 0 and 3 by 0, 4 by 0. So in all of them individually you can see that the size will be written, and it says Brustro, and it also says whether this is a round brush or this one here it says flat. And I'll also show you the rigger. I found one rigger brush. So this is the rigger. So I'm going to just quickly sort these out. There are about 5 in round, 5 in rigger, and just 2 in flat. And then we'll go through a round of painting them with these. I like how they are made. It's pretty nice to hold, although there is a possibility that if you're using like a really thin brush like this, maybe 2.0, either you might want to hold it here or you might actually end up holding it here. So that differs from person to person, so you'll have to figure out what is your comfort level, and if you're a person who holds it here or who holds it here. So I've got one more rigger. This is a flat brush, and another round, and another rigger. So here are the 12 brushes. I am also going to try and organize them well so you can see it size wise. So this is 0, 1. So here are my set of round brushes, and oops. Yes, that's perfect. So this is the 0, 4 by 0. So that's always the smallest of them all. And then we have 2, we have 3 by 0, and 2 by 0. These are my rigger brushes, and these ones here are my flat brushes. So these brushes will always come with glue onto the tip. You will have to dip them in water and make sure that you remove the glue before you start using them. And once you remove the glue and you use the brushes, please make sure that every time you wash it, you dry it immediately. If brushes are not dried immediately, they do tend to wear off really soon. So you will see a lot of brush care tips on this brush holder as well. So it gives you very nice information over here, and it says it's for watercolor and acrylics. I'm quite excited because I do a lot of watercolors and acrylics. Also for gouache also you can use this, so do try using that. So let's begin by trying out the swatches. So we'll start first with the flat brushes because there are just 2 of them. So I think I'll begin with creating those, and then we'll move on to the round and then the rigger brushes. So I'm going to be using Tropicals palette by Art Philosophy, and we'll try and create something using that. So here I'm starting off with size 0. So these are not very good brushes to blend your colors in because the amount of fiber which is there is very less. So, but it's perfectly fine for doing miniature stuff. So we'll start with size 0, and let's find out how our lines are formed. So off the top of my head, if I have to think of where to use these, then checks on clothes, or even checks on let's say at the park, if I want to create maybe a bench or a fence also. So maybe let's try and create a fence. It's absolutely perfect for that. So this was size 0. I'm now going to try size 1. Always wash your brush and make sure it always dries off immediately. So we'll try size 1, and I'm going to make it right next to this so you can see how it is. You can see the difference. This holds slightly more water. Just a slightly thicker version of it. And let's try the fence. So I am not holding it at this section over here. I'm holding it slightly above that because that's comfortable for me. Although feel free to figure out what is your comfort level, use it where it's comfortable for you. So this is the difference. You can see these are very useful, especially if you want to make like smaller areas that you need to cover. Some brushes are kind of hard to go by. Also, what I like about this is the height is a little lesser than most other brushes, so it's very good for doing miniature study. So we've got our 2 round brushes, flat brushes, I'm sorry, and I'm going to now use my round. So with the round, I am starting out with number 1. We'll probably stick with the same colors. So this is size number 1. I'm also going to show some lines with this. So if I'm going to make my brush sleep, then you get some pretty good decent lines. This is a very good way of figuring out if your brush is good, if it is flowing very well, or if it's not, by doing these kind of things. The next size is size 0. Let's find out how that is. You can see how it's easier to create smaller versions of it with size 0. Like, you don't even have to put a lot of effort. I am so far really happy with how this result is coming out, because normal brushes, if I'm using something else, then I really have to be super careful about the amount of pressure that I'm applying. So here automatically I'm getting like smaller bubbles like these, because that's how much the brushes are loving me to do. So that's a very interesting thing. Now we are doing size 3 by 0. This is even smaller in terms of that. I'll probably show you some lines. Oops, it became too dry. So what if I have to create... So when I say miniature drawings, your detailings are going to be very thin. So this is going to be a good brush for creating those kind of details. So if you use this just from the tip, you're still able to get really tiny details. So if I have to create eyes, nose, lips, it's going to be very good for that. Yep. So the last one in the round brush is size 4 by 0, and let's try how that is. It looks very thin in terms of how the brush looks after I've added the color. If you can see the difference between the leaves. Overall, I'm quite happy with the round brushes. In terms of how long it's going to last, I'll have to definitely try these out for a few months and then figure out about how long these will last. But so far, it looks quite promising. We are now going to try our next set, which is our rigger brushes. So I'll show you how we can use the rigger brushes. And why do we have so many sizes? Because sometimes you might want to create some textures, different kinds of textures. You don't always want to have only thin lines. So what is a rigger brush? You can see that the length of my brush the bristles is very long, longer than my regular one. So if this one over here is size 1, so if I take a similar size one in round brush, you can see the difference. This is probably half the height of the other one. So what is it that I can do with these? So hold them vertically down and just draw your lines. You get beautiful thin lines. They hold a lot of water, a lot of color, which makes it very easy for you to create these details. Now you would also be thinking, okay, why can't I just use the round brush for that? So I'll show you the same thing if I have to use with the round brush size 1, the same thing. So if I have to do the same thing, I personally find this a little difficult to do with round brushes because it's a little unpredictable. Like you can see that even though both are 1, the lines are much thinner in my rigged brush, and it looks much more beautiful and natural also. So that's the difference that you will get. So where is the place that you can use these? You can use it for creating your grass texture in terms of nature paintings. A lot of those kind of places you can really use them. So I'm going to use different colors now to show you for the rest of the sizes. This one here is size 0. Personally, I would use them for architecture paintings, when I have to do detailings in terms of the lines, the windows, the wall, the brick wall, or even the regular wall, or the flooring. These kind of places which require long, thin, fast strokes. So I think this is perfect for that. Next one is size 2 by 0. You can see this gets thinner as the size goes down. It's very nice. So you don't have to apply pressure at all. And it also holds up like a lot of color. So you don't really have to worry about having to refill again and again. I'm going with the brown. This here is size 3 by 0. If you have to do checkered dress, or if you have to do patterns in clothing, this is absolutely perfect for that. So I'll show you if I have to create a check pattern. This is 4 by 0. If I have to add details, I can just go create a thin line between these, which is very hard for us to achieve when we are using our round brush. So these kind of detailing is very interesting, especially if you're going to be using a lot of acrylics. People who do acrylics will understand the problems that people would face if you have to use different kinds of brushes for that. If you don't have a smaller size brush, it gets really difficult. Now the rigger brushes you can't really use for smaller areas like this where the strokes are really small. For this, round brush is still good. We'll try one with the rigger brush. I'm going to try with size 1 and see if we can still get faces. So we can maybe get in terms of a long nose. It's slightly hard for me to maneuver for the lips, and quite hard for the eyes as well. So it doesn't go with the flow. With the round brush, you're able to manipulate smaller areas much better. So that's a tip that I would leave you guys with. Please use your rigger brushes for longer details, maybe hairstyle. Maybe that's something that we can end today's session with. So if I have to use a rigger brush for a hairstyle, I think it'll be perfect. It's very easy to create these really crazy thin lines. Do try these out. If you do end up buying this, let me know what your experience has been, and if you've figured out multiple ways of using the brushes. Every artist has their own style, so feel free, experiment, and have a great time. Thank you so much for joining me today for this unboxing and review. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it so you can get more updates. I put up a lot of tutorials on learning art and everything related to art supplies. Thank you.